So for a simple pendulum, the energy of the pendulum is conserved because the only force that's doing work on the system is the weight. The tension force is actually workless. So if I have a pendulum and it's released from rest, that's an angle we're going to define it to be theta. It's released from rest from this configuration at time 1. We want to find the maximum velocity or maximum speed attained by the pendulum. If we write the work energy theorem here, the change in kinetic energy of the system, T2 minus T1, is equal to the work of the weight between the instances 1 and 2. So when the work of the weight, well, first of all, the system is released from rest, so T1 is equal to 0. If we want to maximize T2, we're going to have to maximize the work of the weight. And to maximize the work of the weight, we're going to have to maximize the vertical displacement of the mass. That's going to happen when state 2 is at its lowermost possible position. So when theta is equal to 0. So T2 is max, equivalently meaning that V2 is max, the velocity at time 2, when theta is equal to 0. In this case, we'll calculate T2 as half mv2 squared, and the work of the weight is going to be equal to mg times h, a displacement, h2 minus h1 or h1 minus h2. We can double check from the formulas in the formula sheet, or we can also double check by intuition, so that as the particle is going down, because the weight is also pointing down, the work of the weight needs to be positive. So that's going to be an h1 minus h2. h1 minus h2 is positive, and with that the work of the weight is going to be positive. h1 minus h2 is this height. h1 minus h2, it's positive. And this is equal to the length of the pendulum. Well, this height here, this length here, is equal to the length of the pendulum cosine theta, whereas the whole thing here is the length of the pendulum. So h1 minus h2 is just L minus L cosine theta. So half mv2 squared is equal to mg L 1 minus cosine theta, and the maximum velocity is going to be equal to mass cancels out, 2gl 1 minus cosine theta, the square root of the whole thing. That's the maximum velocity, or speed, actually speed. Velocity is a vector. This is the speed of the pendulum that is released from rest at its certain angle theta. Or I'll name it theta 0, and we'll leave theta to be variable. So theta naught, and theta naught, I meant theta naught here. Okay.